All right, here we are back at again, Prop Talk, back in the house, PMG, Mikey Trudel, myself, as usual. And I'm really excited today because I got Butchie Kitchen in the house finally. Yes, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So, so we have, wait a minute. Okay, I'm sorry.
Did you drop your notes?
You know, full disclosure, I thought we were doing somebody else today.
Oh,
I thought we were doing Todd and I'm like, I opened the door and Butch is there. I'm
Butch
like,
walked
awesome,
out like,
this is cool. So we got Robbie Duncan. Say hi, Robbie.
What's up, Chris? How you doing?
And Butch Kitchen. And again, we'll get into it, but Butchie and I go way back. Okay?
Yes, we do.
And we're going to talk about that. So how are you, Butch?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
Glad to hear it. Wow. So
I'm glad you left your shooting list outside like most directors.
I know, you know, I'm like, you know, but hey, again, I just worked with Robbie for the first time, and we had a blast.
Yeah.
Okay, we did some Vegas unit for upcoming
Yeah, it was great.
F1. Right?
I think they're calling it F1.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Brad Pitt.
F1 Brad
Formula
Pitt.
One. Yeah, that's right. Brad Pitt movie. That's all you need to know. Anyway, yeah, we did Down and Dirty.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, it was, I mean, what, 2,000 background?
2,000 background on the fly, baby.
Yeah,
that was nuts.
That's a lot of people.
I mean, I was telling Mikey about it tonight because you guys had a conversation about it, and then we were rehashing that again, and it was just one of those deals where you like walk into a situation that you're told it's going to be one thing, and all of a sudden it's something else, and then you just, you don't have a choice. You just have to pivot and move.
No,
and we
honestly.
did.
It couldn't have been prepped any better. You went there, you got everything figured out. They said yes. We showed up on the day, and they were like, nope, production canceled. And we were like, all right, let's go.
Okay. Well, all right. So we're going to just, we're going to be all over the place on this one today because I know it. But so we're going to I'll give you the little backstory on this because everybody's like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah. So anyway, we're shooting this giant scene in part of this movie, which is, I mean, I'm probably blowing my NDA right out of the water. I'm just going to say that it was a
noting that.
That's right. Make that. It was a nightclub scene, and there's supposed to be, and they tell us that there's 2,000 background, and I'm like, okay, well, there's 5 of us. Okay, so I'm thinking we are going to need some extra help on that one day, and they're like, no, don't worry about it. You only have to deal with 250 background that we're handpicking, and the rest of the people they're just going to open the doors and they're going to let people in the club. And I'm like, that never works out. Okay. And so there's a Heineken promo involved within the whole thing. And they're like, okay, well, you don't have to deal with the background. And again, I'm saying this whole shoot in Vegas, and anybody who shot in Vegas knows this, but shooting in Vegas during F1 was a whole different animal. It was all about logistics. Yes. There was nothing in this shoot that was difficult for us prop-wise other than the logistics and the fact that we were all over the place. We were in 4 different casinos in 3 days?
Yes.
Okay, and and sometimes, and then
the streets are
closed. The streets are closed.
The streets are actually closed.
Yeah, and it was crazy because they were there a week early before everything started happening, and things were kind of like starting to shut down. They were putting these temporary bridges up for it and everything, and you're talking to the locals, and they're like, "Oh no, this is the worst day of our life." Okay, we hate F1. Okay, but then as it gets closer and closer to shooting, things just start shutting down more and more, and so these routes that you're taking to get to all these locations, all of a sudden you can't go there anymore. And I've never seen so much.
I think it took Chris 40 minutes to get to us one time. That should have took 2.
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, I wouldn't even think, and they weren't even going to give us a car. Remember that? They're like, "What do you need a vehicle for?" I'm like, "Are you kidding?"
We're just props.
Okay, I drove the living hell out of that thing.
Yes, thank God.
Anyway, so for this nightclub scene, they basically said, "You don't have to worry about all these people in the background." I'm like, "Okay, great." So we could make that happen. Then, over and over with emails trying to clarify exactly what we're doing because I kept getting different stories about it. And then they finally came back with, okay, well, only half of the background need to have Heinekens in their hand. I'm like, okay, well, that's still 2,000 or 1,000 people.
That's a lot of Heineken.
It's like, because we're trying to figure out how much Heineken we need. I'm like, okay, so they're bringing 48 cases of beer. It's like, where are they coming from? Who's going to do, it was, again, logistic hell.
Yeah.
And
were they letting the background like actually drink, or did you have to switch?
It was all NA.
Oh, so the bottles were already NA.
Yeah.
No, well, and that's what they were promoting.
There's a whole deal, I
the
think,
NA.
with
Yeah.
F1.
Yes, with
Yeah,
F1.
where they like want to promote like non-drinking for.
Well, that's
everyone being
helpful,
there.
I guess.
Yeah, it was great, and then there was there was a
for
lot
the
of
cause.
for the cause, exactly. So for us, it was just trying to figure out, and then it's like, okay, wait a minute. So you're going to bring 1,000 people into this club, give them non-alcoholic beer, and expect them to stay for free? Okay,
On an overnight.
yeah, right. Because we shot all night long.
It still was like people are sober at
if
1 in the morning.
Yeah,
which isn't normal
which is
for them.
crazy. So again, I don't want to spend the whole time doing this, but the bottom line is that we showed up there. Oh, and then they told us that we were going to have bartenders.
That was the kicker.
Yeah, that they said, don't worry about it. The club has bartenders, and you guys don't. They have soda guns, and you don't even have to do anything. But we went and bought a ton of. I have a whole van full
Just
of drinks that we bought
Tons.
because we
'cause
can't
that's
trust
what we
these
do.
people, right? Well, you don't know.
Yeah.
So we show up. The soda guns are there, but there's no bartenders. Okay, and the management was like, "Oh yeah, no." They had a tech scout where they didn't invite us, and on the tech scout they said, "Oh yeah, we don't need bartenders."
What would they need
That's what
that
they
for?
told. Yeah, what do you need
What
that
would they need
for?
that for? And it was great because
Right.
Drew, Chris's other guy, him and
Yeah.
I
Drew
just
Knapp.
went
Yeah.
in and I mean, absolutely made drinks for honestly 9 hours, 10 hours straight.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
he grabbed an extra who was a bartender. And he said, "Now you work with me."
That's all we did was just get the real background
Yeah.
to be real bartenders.
You
Yeah.
guys were the bartenders.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And the club had upstairs and the downstairs, and like all the heroes actors were upstairs, and then they would go back up and down.
was-
So it was like running up and down stairs.
But
and
it's, also, it's like not even because you're not. If it's continuous throughout the whole night, it's like you're not going around and cleaning people's drinks up
Oh,
and stuff
hell
like
no.
that. Like they're coming and doubling up and getting more
what we-
drinks.
yeah,
right?
we kept saying, if you need a new drink, just go to the bar,
Yeah.
And so I was working the bar by myself upstairs, and I was just slamming drinks up there, and
Yeah.
we were breaking glasses, and
It
it was nuts.
It was wild.
It was crazy.
Definitely one of the more crazy days that I've had on set where you walk in there thinking it's one thing and then you're like, oh, okay.
Hey.
The part we really needed is gone. you
Yeah,
know?
I
But-
mean, in the club, they were really good. They really
Yeah.
helped us out as
Yeah.
much as they could. And thankfully, they had enough ice
yes.
to
Yeah.
keep us rolling all night. And
And we did get their bar backs. They were cleaning up all the actual empties.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say because I don't
we
think
had them.
I don't
and
think
that
they.
was-
Right.
I don't think they make a 1,500 square prop drink table.
Well, I told the first AD on day one, I said, "This is not. You are not going to have grids.
No.
Okay? People are going to get one drink and that's it, and they got to nurse that baby all night
That's
long."
right.
So yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, it was
as
great.
Robbie said, when we wrapped, they split two of our guys off to go do driving stuff, and so there was just the three of us
Yeah.
left to wrap. All that background, but
entire
fortunately they
club.
brought all their people in, so that helped a lot. But I had to come in super early, so I did like a 17-hour day that day.
That was a day.
And the UPM, I tell him the next day, and he says to me, he goes, "You can't do that." I said, "I already did it."
See how it all happened?
He goes,
Yeah.
"You got to call me about that." I said, "It was 4:00 in the morning. You weren't there." So
He doesn't want that call.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Just pay me out of the 6 bartenders you cut.
yeah, he's like, "Well, we're gonna have to make a deal." Or I was like, "Okay, we'll figure that out." So,
Yeah.
add days to your rap or add hours to your rap. He was like, "Okay, well,
I'll do whatever.
yeah, yeah."
Just
I shouldn't have.
just to catch you up,
Yes.
I got Butch up on the screen behind me in case you want.
Oh, in
somebody-
case I could see all the stuff that Butchie did after he left me.
Oh my!
There we go.
I know. Okay, yeah. So
I don't even know if Butch updates his, if I'm being honest.
No.
No.
If production
has
doesn't
ever.
do it, I don't do it.
Nice.
There'll be a lot of missing ones here.
I know. Well, Butch, your reputation precedes you. You don't need an IMDb page, okay? If Butchie's available and you could get him, then you're golden. Okay, so I just have to say, Butch worked with me on Alias. Was the first time.
Yep.
And I always tell people, and God bless my set people that I have and I've had over the years. They've all been good, but nobody comes close to Butch Kitchen. I'm just saying, I never had to worry about anything when Butchie was on set. And half the time I would come to set and he'd look at me and say, "What are you doing here?" So
So what did he do to make you leave him?
well,
I the phone rings.
I introduced him to Chris Pack.
Yeah, you did.
That was it. Okay, and and so I mean, again, Butchie would, and you could explain it better than I did. I mean, you wanted to do something, you wanted to go in the feature world, right?
Yeah, I was doing Bones at the time when I
right.
did the manifest for Chris, and got an offer to go to Atlanta and did that. And I mean, obviously the money on the road is good, and I do like to travel and go to places and hit restaurants, and big race fan, so I hit tracks around there before I got the weekends off. So I like being on the road some.
Yeah, that was good.
The rodeos.
Yeah,
The rodeos.
The rodeos.
Too, Butch. Yes, exactly.
Nice.
We love those.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's some story behind.
He just took us to the most badass rodeo in
Really?
El Paso. It was so much fun.
It's all local. I mean, it's El Paso, so I mean, you're in the heart of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
what show was this?
The new PTA movie.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
So happened to see, we walked into one of the Western stores that was right where we were shooting, and seen the poster, and it's like, hey, let's try this weekend.
That's cool. If you're in a localized area, you just see a poster on the wall for
of
an
course.
event. It's like,
Well, and Jeffrey Shebro, our other guy, he's a hardcore cowboy. So it's like, having him there,
So you mastered this one, Robbie?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. That was fun.
And how long were you guys down there?
We were there for
Almost a month.
about a month.
In El Paso, you
Yeah.
said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. 101 degrees at night.
I was going to
10
say,
o'clock.
man, that is a Dust Bowl town.
And we're shooting overnights too. So it was just, it was,
I mean, the people are super nice, and it was the second time that you could say I did a project in Arkansas where you pretty much took over the town.
Right.
I mean, you'd come out, there's cable runs down their main street for blocks.
yeah.
And it's just like, yep, you guys own this.
Yeah.
And they were happy to have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if
Definitely.
you go out anywhere, they're like, oh, you're part of that film. Like everybody is asking that constantly, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I feel like after the third day, they knew we were all there.
Yeah.
And they could spot us.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know,
I mean,
which,
if you block the business in this town for 6 hours, they'd be yelling and screaming at you.
6 minutes.
yes. Yes.
Seriously. Well, again, I always, that's always a thing for us here in LA now. It's like, again, we talk about regulations and permits and all of that stuff that doesn't exist in a lot of other places in the country. And that's a lot of the reason why a lot of the work goes to all these other cities. I tell the story all the time about working in Pittsburgh, and we're down on the river, and the bridge is in the background. And the director's like, oh, man, I really wish the bridge wasn't lit, because we were at night. He goes, I just wanted it to be. And the location guy gets on the phone, and like 20 minutes later, the bridge goes dark. Like, wow.
Jeez, yeah. No, there's a little bit of power.
Yeah, so definitely.
When we were on the boat for Top Gun, watching Claudio literally tell the deck to turn the boat 6 degrees so the sun would be on Tom at the perfect position was the most...
Mind
Okay, we own the sun. Literally, we can. The sun is the backlight. It really was like cool.
What kind of ship was that?
That was the Theodore Roosevelt.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was fun. Like,
Yeah,
they
those are
actually-
cool when you're on those big boats and they turn.
Big warship.
It feels like you're standing still and the world's turning.
Oh, yeah,
right.
completely.
It's such a crazy.
Completely.
Yeah, we shot on barges in New Orleans, and it was like that. They were like, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to turn this thing around. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
the world is turning.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
crazy.
Were you guys sleeping on the boat too?
We did.
You did?
Yeah. They've got bunk beds and everything. It was a whole. They didn't have us. There is no like Hollywood quarters in the Theodore Roosevelt.
Right.
And the ones who got that was Tom and the actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah. Right.
How long
So-
were you staying on bunk beds for that?
We were there for about a week.
A week?
Yeah.
That's pretty rad though.
Yeah.
That's an
That's
experience.
a good enough
Yeah, yeah.
time.
No, it's perfect.
Any more than that, would be like.
And I mean, it's pretty much like 10 inches from your actual head.
yeah.
in
So
the
if you have
bunks.
claustrophobia,
Oh, you're screwed.
Or
good.
or if you just get up at night and you forget where you are.
Completely.
It was the bottom bunk is tight as the top bunk,
They're all the same. Yeah.
and is it stacked 2 or 3?
In some of them, 3, some of them 2. Yeah. I got into it too.
Nice.
with the ADs. I like slid with them.
Wow.
Yeah, let's start talking about some stuff
Yeah.
that's not NDAs blocking
I
us
know.
that we could talk more about. Yeah, I want to talk about Robbie also. Robbie, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Mikey. How are you?
Good. Where are you from?
I am from Paris, California.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where the skydiving is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, where a lot of actors and a lot of military, they do a lot of training out there.
Yeah.
There's also this really rad lake, Lake Paris. That's actually what it's called on the actual map. But yeah, Paris, California. It's about an hour and a half east of here.
How'd you end up there?
My parents were following my uncle who went out there. He was
Okay.
living in this other town called Mead Valley that's right close to there.
Uh-huh.
So they kind of all just ended up there and still hanging out with a lot of our family out in Orange County and Los Angeles and
I see.
stuff. So
Artistic family or?
my mother is probably more the artist. My father is a union teamster in the Coca-Cola world. He's a driver
Oh,
for them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so he's hard working blue collar man, and my mom is, I would say, more the artist, creative one.
Right.
So where did the film industry come into all this?
Film industry was a fun thing for me because I am first gen in this whole thing. I was kind of telling Chris when we're working together, kind of how I came up, and it's kind of a weird, fun story that I was working at the World Market at the time, and I was doing graphic design there, and this producer comes in, and I didn't really know what he was or who he was or anything. He wasn't any kind of big producer, but he asked for 20 director's chairs, and I said, hold on, let me go get the worker. And I go over there, I get the other guy, and I'm still doing all the measurements for all the graphics, and the worker comes back to me and he's like, hey, that guy wants to talk to you. So I go over and I'm chatting with him, and he's like, oh, what do you do here? And I'm telling him how I'm doing a little bit of graphic design, and I'm self-taught since I was 16. I do a lot of like the band's graphics for a lot of my friends.
Oh, cool.
And all that kind of stuff.
You made a bunch of flyers and
all
shit
the flyers
too.
and posters
Nice.
and like album artwork,
Yep.
and just kind of was telling him that, and he goes, oh, so you're an art guy? And I go, yeah, I guess. He's like, all right, well, finish helping me out, and let's keep chatting. And I honestly, you guys, at this moment, I think it's porn. Okay. I think it's porn because
They
I
don't have director's chairs.
I don't have.
Well, a guy comes into World Market to get director's chairs.
I don't
It's
have
like,
any-
hey, you look good, guy.
Yeah, well,
You
right.
look
but-
like an art
yeah.
guy, and I'm like,
You thought he was trying to recruit you?
something I just
Yeah,
didn't
because-
understand, and I had no friends in film, so I'm like, oh my, what is happening?
That's funny.
So we go outside, and it's all flashing before my eyes. I'm like, what is he? He's like, yeah, come to my car. And so as we're walking out, he's on the line with the production coordinator. Like, hey, I found our props PA. And so I get the phone handed to me, and it's like, hey, what's your name? What's your phone number? What's your email? So I tell them everything, and then they're like, yeah, you're going to get a call sheet. I have no idea.
Did he just assume you're
Yeah.
just gonna quit World Market and come in and be like, yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
come with you,
Yes.
strange guy?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm missing. I mean, you must have spoke to him in some way.
We spoke about art and the creativity and what I was doing there. And
Right.
it just kind of just hit him. And he just offered me this
Nice.
opportunity to work on this project, and
Yeah.
didn't know what it was. And I get the call sheet, and I show up, and I'm like, okay, there's these white movie trailers I've seen in movies about behind the scenes.
Right.
I'm like, okay, this all looks familiar.
Uh-huh.
Cut to me meeting the second AD, who brings me to the prop master, who is a maniac. And I'm like, I kind of like this. Okay. Okay.
And then you knew it wasn't porn.
I knew it wasn't porn at that moment. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we're at a real set. This seems real. And yeah, like within the first hour that this prop master comes running up to me, he's like, hey, can you roll me 50 joints in an hour? And I was like, yeah. And he goes running off. And I'm like, okay, and I call my guy that I maybe buy marijuana from, and I have him start to bring me marijuana to the set.
Right,
I
'cause
think,
what do you know?
I don't know anything. So I'm like, come on. He brings me back a bin full of fake weed, rolling papers, everything.
Cancel that weed.
I call him. I'm like, hey, man, thank you, but I think I'll get in trouble by it. And I'm just sitting there rolling joints as like my first task as a prop person.
That's what my first task as a prop
Was
person
it?
on Spring Breakers.
Yes.
That's it.
That's hilarious.
I was an art PA just with the production designer in the production office, and the prop master came in. Who here knows how to roll joints? And I was the only one. And they're like, you're the new props PA.
That's
Wow,
see?
that
There
is
you go.
small world.
That should be a requisite for
I was
being a
gonna
prop
say,
person.
because
Dude.
anybody out there who wants to get into props, learn how to roll joints.
It is. I worked with him. I worked with him for the rest of the movie as a props PA going through, and I knew after that I was like, props is the only department I want to do now.
Yeah. So that was, fun. And not to call Jeffrey up, but Jeffrey can't roll a joint.
Well, Butch and I grew up in an era where you were rolling joints when you were 12.
Yeah, with like one.
Yeah, exactly.
one
And
hand.
driving with your knee and loading the bong. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, so that was kind of how, and I just stayed in it. And 15 years later, I've finagled my way into a position of.
When you left World Market, were they like
They were
you
so
could come,
supportive. No,
so they were like, you could come back if it doesn't
no,
work.
they straight up told me, you just use your vacation time. We want you to go do this. This seems like a
nice.
cool
So
opportunity.
That's
Because
amazing.
after like the
Did you go
first
back
week,
after-
I ended up working on it for about a month.
Okay.
And totally just made this connection with the prop master who wanted to become an actual production designer. And we did music videos for a couple of years. And
But did you ever go back to World
Market? Yeah.
World Market for a little bit?
Yeah, because I couldn't just.
Yeah, right.
Yes, you had that one connection.
Yeah, that was it. I was like, I can't just leave yet.
Yeah.
So I think I
But it
stayed
planted the seed at least.
100%.
Yeah.
I think I stayed for another 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before just like keeping it rolling and just
Yeah.
meeting people.
Right,
Trying
exactly.
to network. Greg Bilson has been like the utmost,
For all of
biggest
us.
networking human for
Yeah.
me. And, Linda Montana.
Linda was awesome.
In my early days, she would walk me around and say, "This Robbie's
Same.
going to be the future of this place," and I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
And not that I think I'm at all there, but I just know what
You
she
are.
was doing in helping promote the youth.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's
She's
and
the
she
best.
she really helped. I think
yeah.
give me this confidence where I'm first gen. I don't know anyone around
Yeah.
anywhere. And
Yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah. I almost cried when she was retired. I was
I
like,
know.
I don't know. I
was
was like,
she your salesperson?
my first salesperson.
Yeah,
And when
same
she was
here.
leaving, because I like now today's different because I know all the graphic. I know every person in the sale. Like I know all.
Sure.
But like back then, she was the only person
yeah.
I knew, and I felt know me by name.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was like.
Right.
That was like, if I needed anything, she could help me out. And then I was like, I have to get to know these other people and hope that relationship forms.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was amazing.
She rocked.
yeah.
I know it's a great day when you're like driving to ISS and you see her on her horse.
No, I drive up there.
Yeah.
I drive
you
up
go
in
visit
the
her at
neighborhoods
night.
just to try and find her, just to see if she's like trotting around, having a good time.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
yeah.
How about you, Butch?
Yeah, Butchie.
What's your introduction to the industry?
Totally by accident.
Oh yeah, are you where are you from?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Allentown. Above Allentown. Out in the
Oh,
country.
okay.
Out in the sticks as took
I
Jeff
thought you were from Wilkes-Barre.
halfway between.
Okay.
Well, he thought you
The
were
closest-
from
the
Pittsburgh,
clo-
so there you go.
The closest town of any meeting is Tamaqua, and it's below Hazleton. So
right.
I took Jeffrey when we were back in Pennsylvania to where I grew up, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Yep, this is the sticks."
Yeah, for sure.
Came out to California. A friend of mine had moved out here, and he kept calling up because at the time I was managing a bar in Pennsylvania, and two brothers had it, and one sold his half out. Came out here, and he kept calling, "Oh, you can make more money. You have more fun out here. Come on out." And I packed up and came out to California, and I was like, man, the bartending is the second funnest job I've ever had in my life, except it takes one bad person a night just to kind of just ruin your night. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that right now. So I just needed a job. So I got a job driving truck for Mayflower Moving. So I'm moving furniture and still going into bars and that, and met a guy in the bar, and he goes, we became friends, and he's like, can you do painting and construction? I said, I'm not an artist. He goes, no, like painting a wall. I'm like, yeah. I said, well, we're doing a TV show, and one of the guys just quit. And he goes, I need somebody to come in and paint. I said, all right. So I go in and started doing painting and construction on a thing called Days and Nights of Molly Dodd.
Oh, nice.
It's 86.
Right.
And when I got in there, then they found out like my other job that I was doing on weekends or was moving furniture.
Set dressing.
Have we got a department for you? So automatically got put in the set dressing very quickly and became a lead man on the next
Overnight.
Jay Tarsis was one of the producers. He had another show called Slap Maxwell's Story with Dabney Coleman that came out.
Mm-hmm.
So when we split the crew in two, pretty much, and at the time it's non-union.
Yeah.
So it's like you're the lead man. You might have one extra person with you. That's it.
Yeah.
And you're doing the sets and you're being on set.
Mm-hmm.
You're like the on-set carpenter, on-set furniture mover.
Right.
Laying tile for the next set that's coming up. Yeah. So, and then Al Eisenman Sr. was the prop master on the show.
Got it.
And I became interested in watching what they were doing too and stuff like that. So he had done a feature. I think the first time I got to work with him was on Tap with Gregory Hines and Sammy Davis Jr.
Nice.
And that's just like from just keeping approaching him and getting to know him.
Yeah, just getting to know him on
like,
set. I mean,
like,
it's such a small crew when you're back in the day. And I mean, a lot of the non-union work back then, I mean, there was series on TV that weren't organized or, I mean, at the time they'd say, oh, we don't have enough money to organize. And you just took the word for it.
Yeah.
So he had brought me into that and I was running a smoke machine and helping out. And we were doing bar scenes and stuff like that. So you're running a smoke machine and making drinks. And so got myself, when I started doing that, I was like, yeah, I think I like props better than, I mean, the thing is when you're doing set dressing and even on some of the big shows now, it's like you show up at the rap party and who are you?
Right. Not to mention
like,
you're killing yourself every day slinging furniture.
It's true though.
So, did a bunch of shows doing props or jumping back into set dressing and lead man, whatever it took to stay in the business and pay the bills. Because once I got in, I was like, I like this. I like the fact that it changes on every show. I like the fact that you're moving.
Yep.
So did a couple sitcoms with Carsey Warner at the time at CBS Radford. So, and I got kind of well rounded then too because you get some day work on a feature.
Sure.
You get like wanted to shoot a single camera show, and then doing some 3-camera work. So I got pretty well rounded to start off.
Yeah, it did help out. I always said that, like, I think what I didn't like when I was in set dressing, the most heartbreaking thing about it that switched me so quick, it's like you're in there before anybody's in there, and you work so hard to do it. Then you have to leave while it's in action.
Yeah,
and it's actually
exactly when all the fun's starting.
When all the fun's starting, and then when they're done, they're like, okay, now come back and destroy it all, and throw it all away.
Yeah,
and you're like, exactly. That's like the worst part about it.
No, I know, it's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, and not to disrespect anybody who does
it's hard
job
work. It's hard work.
Seriously, because I was a set dresser for a long time. But that was the thing. It was like, I want to be where the action is, man. I want to be on set. So that's why I transitioned to on-set dressing before getting into props. But yeah, that was always the thing. Is like you do all that work, and then you'd leave, and they'd shoot it all, and then you have to go back in and tear it all down. And it's like you felt like you missed the party.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, even some of the times, like some of your big locations, like you put all this effort and all this weight of moving furniture into it, and it's on TV. And like they walk in a room with the camera, and they go, "Hi." And now it's you don't see anything of it the rest of the time. And you're like, why did we lug that up there?
Exactly. Don't question it. That's all I can tell you.
Exactly.
The check cleared. Well, that's so. But then, when did you start doing more props? I mean, did you work for a prop master for
I worked for Al Eisenman Jr.
Okay.
And we were doing a non-union Adam 12 and Dragnet remakes.
Oh, okay.
At Universal. So it was which was its own experience there because you're now a non-union entity on the lot because they were trying to prove a point. So there was times you'd go out and like, oh, the 5-ton won't start because the battery's dead. Right. So there was a couple of things like growing pains growing. Sure. Because CBS was a little different because they had Carsey Warner had at the time 4 or 5 shows on the lot that were non-union. You have your own gate. You couldn't go in through the main gate. You had your own gate to go in where you parked and stuff like that. But obviously, with that many shows, there was not the animosity. Right. That when you were on Universal as a single show. Right. But when I was doing that show with the first AD that I was working with, that was doing one of the 2 episodes, he came up and got a show where he was UPM, and that's when Dark Justice, which was a CBS late night show, he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, you've been on set with me for a while. We'd like to give you a shot as a prop master." It was non-union also, but late night, CBS late night, where like the Seagal stuff and all that was going on. And he's went in. So I had done one feature before that, a small one, Mortalizer. So my first real prop job was 22 episodes, shooting 5 days a week for an episode of a 1-hour drama. It's like jump in with both feet.
That's right in the fire, baby.
You got one of your prop guys driving the 510.
That's right.
Yeah, we did that for years in
100%.
Pittsburgh. Drove our own truck. Yeah,
Nice. I like it.
I like
Honestly.
it too.
Driving the truck.
I mean, we had so much
I do
fun.
like driving the truck.
Yeah.
Dude, we had so much fun. Road
Yeah.
trips.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind driving the truck. I probably would mind a little bit more driving a 48-foot track.
Yeah, well, that we didn't do. Drew the line there. So, what show got you in the union?
The one that got my days is the same company that did Dark Justice. We did a thing called Against the Grain. That was a football show with Ben Affleck's first pretty much show.
Oh,
Then we did a pilot called Frogmen, which was
didn't get picked up.
O.J. Simpson's deal. So when we did it was Copelson's out of Warner Brothers, and they were going to, all the days were going to count towards the union. They were going to still do it non-union. When it went to series, it was automatically going to be switched over.
I see.
Obviously, when we got done the pilot, an issue came up and it was never picked up for a series.
Issue came up.
It's
The juice was loose.
I literally, after the show was over, because we were like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to shoot 3 or 4 episodes in LA. We're going to go to the Keys in Florida and shoot the waterwork stuff. It's like, this is like, they spent $4 million in 96 on this pilot. So it was a good chunk of change. So I got back. I went to Vegas because I like to play poker. As he knows. It's good. And I'm watching the news going, there goes my show.
There goes my show. And a slow roll down the one. Right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I see you used to like. So it looks like like you said, your IMDb might not be as accurate as possible, but it looks like you used to prop master a lot, and then if these credits are correct, you kind of just stopped around 2000.
Yeah.
Did you just not want to prop master anymore?
Honestly, I like the set better.
Yeah.
And I like the hecticness of it. And
Right.
And I don't like the meetings, and I don't like fighting over the budget, and I don't like fighting over how many guys I can get to, or people to work with me and stuff like that.
Right.
I just got tired of.
That's a crappy part of the job.
I mean, because even back then, I heard one of the podcasts they were talking about, oh, you do animals. Yeah, at the time, you do research for the animal.
Right. Yeah.
And
100%.
you hand in the budget, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to cut that out. And you're like, I just spent 6 hours on the phone.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff I just got
a
little tired of.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to get hung up on that stuff.
Well, and then so you started set mastering then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's how I found you.
Yeah. Scott Ambrose
Right.
had a show at Fox coming up, and I had Eric Dennis was my salesman at ISS at the time. And he had said Scott was looking for an assistant, and I didn't have a show at the time. And he goes, well, if he's willing to work as an assistant, it'd be a good one for you.
Right.
And I got doing that, and then the phone rings again, and the phone rings again. And next thing you know, you're not really mastering very much anymore.
Right. Sure.
Because I like to work, and I do get to work with a lot of great people and have through the years. So, and like I said, sometimes I get stuck. I wouldn't say I don't get stuck in the meetings, because I did Bones on the backside for 4 seasons with Ian Scheibel.
Right.
And I got, 5 meetings a day.
Yeah.
Or 5 meetings an episode.
Right.
You sit in. But I enjoy that part, but I still don't enjoy just the fight. And at the time of my career when I kind of switched over, it's like you're putting your name in and they tell you who you're up against. And you're like, oh, well, Tommy Day, Dick Kiker, and you're like,
Right.
yeah, I'm the young guy, low man on the totem pole here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tell them to enjoy
I
the
know
show.
that one.
Yeah, and that's a good transition back to you because I was really excited to have you on this show because you're one of the few prop masters of my generation, and that are actually starting to get the bigger jobs and surpass that. And maybe we're at a point in our career where we're starting to like get offered those. So I want to know about that transition and how scary it is for you to like go up against some of these like legends in prop mastering as we're
Butch
looking at.
It's definitely like a point in my career where I feel like I have been blessed enough to kind of transition up a little bit and have the studios trust me.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like that was when I started to get these jobs offers a little more, was once the studios were like, all right, you've done this, you've done this for us. And
well, that happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
You do a big movie and all of a sudden
like
They know you
they
can
know
do
you
it.
can do it. Yeah,
and
exactly.
it was, Paramount was great. They totally trusted me
Right.
with the Top Gun thing.
Right.
And after that, I interviewed for Warner Brothers, and they were like, "Nope, we don't know you."
Right.
So it was a really learning kind of
Sure.
moment to kind of get into this whole thing and just learn like, okay, as good as you think you are, the other people have to want to trust you.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Totally. And
It's
then,
a lot of money. And it's
and-
a whole different ballgame.
right. And some being like intimidating directors and stuff
Yeah.
like that you have to go up to.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I think coming up with Butch, which was fun of my whole learning process and getting to where I am, was learning how to run the set, how to be a prop master through Butch. It's been a phenomenal process to have him now work with me. And you ask like, how is it going in there? I have a lot of confidence in the team.
Yeah.
With
that makes a
Jeffrey,
big
with
difference.
Butch, with Curtis Aiken, who just retired. Let's give a little clap.
Curtis, hello, buddy.
Yes. He was a part of my early prop mastering on the bigger scale, and he just showed me so much about prop mastering and how to do it and how to communicate to people.
So had you mastered before Top
I
Gun?
had, yes. Yeah. So I had done a bunch of indie movies,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of smaller stuff, stuff that I was kind of just doing $5 million, $2
Sure.
million
Yeah.
movies, and I had worked with KP and Butch for 4
Right.
years,
Right.
and just learning through them, learning through Jonathan Hodges when I moved to New Orleans as well. Like,
Did you want to, like, when you were coming up and assisting and obviously you knew you wanted to be in the props department, did you know the ultimate goal was to prop master at this point, or was it opportunity that kind of presented itself after a while?
yeah, I think there was always this idea that I would be a prop master.
Yeah.
I think Greg had kind of like approached me with with this kind of idea, like, hey, you got your head on
Right.
your shoulders. I think
Right.
you could probably do it.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like manifested into a slow moving machine that kind of, brought us to where we are today. Like I feel completely blessed to have Butch a part of the team. Like,
And you are.
he is a goat of the set guys,
Yeah,
and
100%.
and prop mastering. Like
Yeah.
I've learned so much from them about. He says he doesn't like to deal with all that stuff, but he watches me deal with it, and he helps me. He helps
He's a
me with
coach.
how
Offers
to
solutions.
finagle all
Yeah,
that kind of
100%.
stuff, and
Well, he can offer the solutions without it falling on himself if he's wrong. Right?
Yeah.
That's the glorious part.
I'll take any bullet that I
Yeah.
send out.
That's for sure.
I don't.
For sure.
And like I think a lot of my early success in my career has been built upon everyone that's taught me everything.
Yeah.
Sure.
Everyone who I've come up under has just showed me how to do it.
Well, and it helps that you have an open heart about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
I think we say that a lot on this
Yeah.
podcast. Like for people coming up, we're like, oh, the biggest advice would be like assist for big people for
Right.
a while. Like
I
just
totally think
And
that's
like-
talk less and listen more.
talk less
Yes.
and listen more, because that's what I mean. For me, it was like I was prop mastering such little things for a while, and then for 7 years, I joined the union and just worked under like big prop masters,
Right.
and just learned it.
Yeah.
Like
it helps.
It helps
Well,
so
I
much.
mean-
I mean, work for some people that are not pleasant too.
Right.
Like just deal with it. Like work with a lot of people that are kind of jerks and
Right.
because they still have a lot of good things to offer, but they'll teach you a lot.
And this is the way you learn the craft. I mean, there is no
Exactly.
school for props, not yet. I mean, we're working on it, but this is how you do it, by working for as many people as you can and keeping your ears and your eyes open and
Yep.
being willing to learn.
Yep.
Yeah, and then make a lot of mistakes.
I make tons of mistakes. You know?
No.
Yeah, right. I do make them. Yeah, you know, but I try.
But you cover your tracks well.
I try and get out ahead of it. The one thing
Yeah.
I've learned from all my mentors is prep is king and prep is everything. And
Amen.
get ahead of it as
Yes.
far as you can.
Right.
So when you're on set dealing with all the extra stuff that they thought about the night before,
That's
or
it.
they thought of, hey, listen to this great story that I have right here. You know, this is great. Okay, this is the greatest story you've ever said, Mr. Director. Let me go find that red ball. That
Yeah, that's right. How
we
much
didn't
time
talk
do I
about.
have?
Yeah, exactly.
It is. I just think about this week since I'm like in the midst of prep and we just got it because I mean we haven't mentioned the fires in this podcast. Yes, it's devastated us.
right.
The silver lining that came out of it is that like I got an extra week and a half of prep, which is what I really needed.
Right.
It's what I really needed out of it, but still, and I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody. No matter what the scale of the show is, no matter how big it is or how small it is, I always get such crippling anxiety during prep.
Yeah.
And I can't sleep. My mind is always doing this, and I still don't think I have enough time. Like even if you're extended more of it, but it's just
That's true.
like, is this all you guys do?
Yeah, well, especially in the beginning. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
because as you progress, you learn to trust yourself. You know what you have to do first, and you knock those things out. You know, so as you get closer to shooting, you know you're covered.
Yeah.
But there's always that fucking moment where you know that feeling that never goes away, and if it does, that's when you fuck yourself up.
Yeah, no.
You take your eye off that ball for a second.
I think by week 2 of production, I usually start to find my center. I feel like it takes till then to where like
sure.
I can have a night's rest. And
Yeah.
Not fully usually, but it's at least a little bit more like I
Right.
see how this is going.
Yeah, because
totally.
that's the thing too, is like every show is different. Okay, unless you have the opportunity to work with the same people all the time, and which is great because it's so much easier when you don't have to learn everybody's personality. But when you're walk into a show and you don't know anybody, man, that's like the hardest part.
Yeah.
It's trying to figure out how everybody
It
works.
is.
And
when I'm writing my like intro email to the costume designer, I was like, man, I hope this doesn't come off as pretentious. like it's always
Totally.
like,
Sure.
yeah, it's just it's like I just want answers, but don't think I'm like, hey, I usually do
hi.
glasses. Yeah, but hi, I'm gonna do glasses and stuff like this, right?
yeah, right. How do you work?
yeah.
Exactly.
It's so funny. So so when did you really go all in on prop mastering then?
It definitely was the moment of probably Top Gun, you know, of it just being that sort of opportunity that kind of came up for us,
Sure.
you know, and Butch had left our team before that. So when I had come into the position of the prop master, but the first person I called was actually Butch to put him back on the job.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like,
100%.
there's one thing I can do is get him back on this. That's
Right.
That's,
Get back on the boat.
Let's go.
So what was your
go.
first job after Top Gun?
It was this thing called COVID. So that
You called
rocked.
Butch?
So that rocked. I had this sweet momentum push. No, I booked a job with Robert Rodriguez.
Okay.
It was the Ben Affleck movie that actually came out. It was called Hypnotic.
Okay.
And it was a rad, like $65 million, 2-unit action shoot 'em up. I was like, all right, we got this. We got
Right.
the team. Let's do it. It'll be awesome. And I was at the production office for maybe 3 days when COVID started.
Right.
So definitely, you know, the momentum just shot
Right.
down. So
Wow.
COVID hit, and I get a call 2 months into COVID from this woman named Karen Frick, who is the set decorator for M. Night Shyamalan,
Okay.
looking for a prop master to go out to the Dominican Republic to go do the movie Old with him.
All right.
Did you say production designer?
She was the set decorator.
She was the set decorator called.
Yeah, she knows. She was hitting up Guillaume about some people
Sure.
who would potentially want to go out there, and my name came up.
Right.
And they were like, "All right, cool."
Had you worked abroad before? Before?
Yes, I
Top
did.
Gun,
Yeah. We've worked where? Colombia. We did Hawaii. We did,
but not mastering.
Not mastering.
Yeah.
We did do a London unit, which was
Sure.
easy because it's London. But this was my first prop master abroad.
Yeah.
International.
Wow.
So it was great. Like, it was an M. Night Shyamalan script that was, if you know his movies, they usually take place in one location.
Right.
So we know it's a little bit of an easy, not so crazy.
Logistically nuts.
Exactly.
Right.
Which, if you guys know shooting abroad, it's not logistically easy.
Yeah,
Right.
we were talking about that with Elliot or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, when you have to go to 8 different places, he's like, you have to have like 8 different kits because they need to beat you to the
Yes.
location.
Yes.
You got
Yes.
people, leading you, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we lucked out because we had a film plane coming in every Wednesday and Sunday. So if we needed props that just needed to get on the plane, they would go to nights wherever the plane with the film was getting dropped.
right.
And it would actually make it through customs a lot easier.
That's
Sure.
pretty cool.
That way too, yeah. So that was a little bit of a direct thing. So
So you were
kinda
there
helped.
the whole film then?
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah, so that was kind of the first one that kind of got me into prop mastering outside of Top Gun, and that kind of got me
Right.
going. M. Night then invited me back to Philly to kind of work on the TV show, so we got to do 2 seasons of Servant,
Right.
which was a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
It was great. That was my first time kind of getting to do the East Coast thing,
Sure.
where we do tents and we do cars and
Right.
we do animals heavy, and it's
Yeah.
like we're really in charge of a lot more than
Where was it?
This was
Philly.
Philly.
in Philadelphia.
For how long?
I was there for probably 3 years.
3 years. That's what I was
Wow.
saying.
Just like working, I was really lucky to just keep on
And was it
working there.
was this your first series that you really mastered
Yes.
too?
Yeah.
So how did that dynamic change? Not only are you on location, but you're doing something
That
where you
was-
can't be
yeah.
on set as much because you have
Yeah.
to be in the meetings, you have to be
Yeah.
rolling, and you have to be shipping stuff out.
That was my first time realizing that I did not necessarily enjoy TV prop mastering.
I hear
Like,
you.
honestly,
it's kind of
to
a
be
management
completely-
position.
Yeah, like, I am so much better creatively when
Sure.
I'm right there.
Yeah.
The farther
In the
away from
mix.
it I am. So
Yeah.
I think that, but it was great though, because that show, Knight, really promotes creativity. He really loves the props and the production design, and
Right.
everything around him with that fuels his whole process. So we have this ultimate creative freedom there,
Right.
where it's just, it harbors this really good kind of thing going on, and the whole creative team there is phenomenal. So that kind of got me going and kind of kept me kind of going. And yeah, I was lucky enough to get to do Beverly Hills Cop number
Right.
4, which was a lot of fun. And so that was kind of that was my job that took me away from there for
Was
a little
that-
bit.
yeah.
Bruckheimer?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Uncle Jerry.
Yeah, you know it,
Gotta
buddy.
love Uncle Jerry, man. He's the man, dude. He's just so cool.
He's very
know?
cool. I got to give you that.
He's a cool guy on set, and once he knows you, he knows you.
Yeah.
Like, he'll go say what's up to you forever.
Right.
So he's a good guy.
Yeah, that was cool. Like, when I did the Vegas shoot, and I was like, well, again, full disclosure, I was trying to get Butchie to come in. I was like,
Yes.
yeah, I've been trying to get Butchie back in my camp for years, and a couple times he's like, yeah, I could do it, and then at the last minute, he'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry, something else comes up, and then it happened this time, and I'm not going to go into it all 'cause it's super personal, but
It sounded like a pretty good reason.
yeah, but exactly, but so yeah, exactly. So I got thwarted getting Butchie back in, but Butch was like, yeah, but Robbie wants to do it. I'm like, Robbie who? He goes, Robbie Duncan. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Robbie Duncan's not going to come and freaking day play for me on this show. And he's like, yeah, no, he really wants to do it. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. And then I realized, it's like, oh, wait a minute. This is a Bruckheimer film. Yeah. I'm going to have one of Bruckheimer's guys on set. That's cool. We'll do that.
Dude, it was great.
I mean, we had 4 prop masters and Drew Knapp,
awesome.
who's a rock star. So, and we needed everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tim out of Florida was
Tim Sheehan, man. What a
phenomenal.
character.
And
Holy
Gary
shit.
Greenham,
Gary
the
Greenham,
prop master out of London.
Out of the UK, man. No, I mean, again, this guy's been on this movie
Yeah.
for 2.5 years.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know how he does
the
it.
manifest that this, I mean, he is It is thorough. He's done a great job with this movie. I definitely learned a couple things.
Right?
Those road cases
Those
that
road
they had,
cases.
I want to get 2 or 3.
Well, we
of
had
those.
what 30 of them, right?
Yes.
We had 30
You know?
of these 2 foot by 4 foot road cases, which are great for what
2 foot by 4 foot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, all on wheels. Wait, was it? Yeah, that's
Wheels
right.
and they stack.
And they stack.
So you
Oh,
can just
Okay, and
ship
he had
it.
everything in them, and again, they were all over the world. They were in like what?
Are they like
4
roadie
countries?
cases, like concert roadie
Yes.
cases,
Yes,
pretty much?
Exactly.
Exactly.
They were in like 7 cities and 4 continents.
Yeah.
And and when we were done, that was one of the other brutal things. Is our last night of shooting, which was all race stuff. We shot until dawn, and they were like, "Oh, and by the way, when you're done, all those cases need to be loaded and put on a truck. They're going to DHL them to Dubai.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can't leave until they're gone. So we worked until like
Oh, dude.
8:30 in the morning, and then we like went back to the hotel and fell asleep. And they had us on a flight at 2:30 in the afternoon. It's like, get the hell out of here.
It was.
And we were going to fight for it, and then we were like, no, we need to get out of this town.
Did they keep everything in these cases? Like, as far
Everything.
as like
Yeah.
kit and just all the
Honestly,
props that they were
Everything.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, again,
Yes.
he didn't. For us, they used my kit. We put the kit together to go to Pismo first, and then we went to Vegas.
Yep.
So we had a truck. We loaded up, sent it to Pismo. We didn't do that shoot. And then we went to Vegas, used my kit for that, and then brought it back to LA and dumped it. But everything else, all of his stuff, all the helmets,
Oh,
everything
wow.
he had, it was all loaded into these boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, if you're moving around a lot, I guess it's
Yeah.
definitely worth the
was
budget to
good.
just get
Yeah.
a bunch on the show.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean,
Yeah, it
I'm
was
sure. I mean, that worked out so well for him.
Yeah.
And again, it was great because Tim had done a Daytona
That's right.
unit with him like a year earlier, so he knew the game plan, which was great because Timmy came out and we were prepping in Vegas, and while they were shooting in Pismo, and then they were all supposed to come to Vegas, and we're going to prep for 5 days before we start shooting, and then he had a family tragedy. Gary had to go back to the UK, and he's like, I'm not going to be back until the second day of shooting in Vegas. And we're like, holy crap.
The prop master, the only guy that knows the movie.
The only guy that knows the movie other than Timmy, which was great because Tim had relationships with everybody too. But I mean, didn't miss a beat, man. These guys are like, and Tim Sheehan, man, what a freaking
Yeah.
attitude this
Hey,
guy
Chris, you want to
has.
do this little
It was
pickup
great.
unit? Sure.
Yeah.
Seriously, I
was
like,
awesome.
had no idea.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome though. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, every night after shooting, I'd go back to the hotel room and just like take 5 Advil and
Yeah.
We'd slam a martini.
yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, we're going to the bar. I'm like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to be up tomorrow.
Sounds like they hired the right people.
Yeah, we had. Yeah, it was definitely trouble.
No, yeah, you're just a guy that likes to work.
I do, yes.
and with a great attitude.
Yeah,
I just
no,
have to
we-
say.
We lucked out. Like I was, because I hire a lot of really experienced people on my team, we started to just job to job to job to job. And as long as the team was okay with it, like we were able to kind of really stack some really awesome projects that we're excited for when they finally get to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited for a
Yeah.
lot of them
Yeah.
when they come out too. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's good attitude about it if you just like to work and everything like
Yeah.
that. What you were saying, you just texted me a couple days ago and you're like, job pushed. So if you want me to jump in with you on that little
Yeah.
tier movie that you're
Yeah.
working, let me know. I was like, you don't want to work on it. He's like, yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
Well,
Right?
every chance you get to learn something, you work with somebody else, you're doing a different budget,
Yep.
your different project, this is the way it runs. I said, 2 things you learn about on set every day: how to do things and how not to do things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's and just keep logging that in your book.
Yeah. That's what I said at the beginning. Work with people that aren't good or bad. It's like
Yeah.
I almost learned more on those shows than I did
Yeah,
in the
totally.
Yeah.
You
well,
slam your head against the wall a couple more times, but you get through it.
Well, that's like one of the reasons I always wanted to do this with you, Butch, is because again, to me, your on-set work is bar none. Okay, but I wanted to ask you, like, what do you feel is like your method of running a set? I mean,
Yeah.
Preparation starts with every prop master I ever worked with. The other things I tell anybody that works with me: have everything on the carts in the morning that's listed.
Yep.
And everything you think you might need.
Right.
Because at that point, you're just running for the extras.
Right.
That somebody has thought up. And for most shows, that helps. I mean, I worked with some guys directors that you're like, just think up something. You're like, I would never thought of that, but we can try.
Exactly.
Have a good attitude on set all the
right.
time. As you know, some of the people I've worked with keep you on your toes.
Yeah. Holly Hunter.
I love her.
Love her. Me too. I mean, I heard the stories about you and Holly before I got a chance to work with her, and then I got a chance to work with her. And every prop master should work with Holly Hunter because she loves props. Okay.
Yes.
Demanding because she loves props, but amazing. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's like one of those things when he, like, Chris called me and said, just make sure you have enough.
Yeah.
Because until she gets her timing down, if it's opening a beer bottle, if it's pouring, cutting, she'll do that until she has her timing down.
That's right. Every rehearsal.
But she's super appreciative of people who take care of her.
100%.
So I've gotten to work with, like, people ask me out in the field a lot of times, the actors, like, well, how are they? I said, you know what? I've been doing this over 30 years. I can probably put on my both hands ones that if I seen their name come up, I'd be like, oh, here we go again.
Right.
And the rest are beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, Holly's the one who gave you the nickname Butchie.
Wow.
There's not a lot of people that go from Butch to Butchie.
When she told me that, it was that's it. It stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Didn't Holly give Tyler a jersey too?
Yes.
She gave
Yeah.
you a jersey, right?
So
yeah.
I left. I was doing Saving Grace for
Right.
2 seasons. You had called me, and we were almost done the series. I worked with Scott Ambrose, and I told him, I said, hey, I mean, the thing is, it's like you got bills to pay and stuff like that. I had an opportunity to come back with you, which I love working with. And at the time, we used to do Jersey Fridays.
Right.
So whatever sports team. My son played ice hockey. Holly is a very small person. My son at the time was probably 8 or 9. He'd come by the set all the time on the way from practice when you could still bring people to the set.
Exactly.
So when we're one weekend or one day, she goes, hey, do you think Tyler would let me borrow one of his jerseys? I'm sure. So I told my son, he brings in a couple team jerseys he had that he wasn't playing on those teams anymore. She picks one out. She had gotten jerseys made. Her, I think it's her manager, has Albany River Rats, which is her Carolina Hurricanes farm team. She had jerseys made up with the names on the back. So I am on Melrose,
Right.
and I come back from location, and there's a delivery. There was 2 jerseys there that were hand delivered. One had my son's number from his jersey on it.
Oh, cool.
And one had she cut it in half, his 44. She made mine 22.
Oh,
so
nice.
she had 2 jerseys delivered
Yeah.
to the next show.
Awesome.
She's such a class act.
And she still has his jersey because when we were in, we were shooting, I was working with Mr. Kiker in Orleans, and Chris had come down for a family occasion, takes a picture out of, we had gone out to dinner. She sends a picture back of the jersey.
That's funny.
Nice. Yeah. So again, I mean, somebody like Holly Hunter, who's such a pro, okay, I mean, you spoke to her. I mean, talk a little bit about taking care of actors on set.
I mean, it's mainly, I mean, paying attention is on set. I mean, watching what's going on, anticipating sometimes if you can. I mean, don't wait to be told.
Right.
If you can see that, hey, we're going to be turning this way, let's get the carts out of that direction next.
Right.
That way you can concentrate on what you're doing. And also, I mean, when you get to work, especially doing TV, where a lot of times you'll work with the same directors.
Right.
And I've worked with the same directors that get into like, oh, they are Warner Brothers directors. So, if you do a Warner Brothers show, you're going to see that director again.
Yeah.
So, especially with TV. So you kind of know the way they work. And I mean, the ones that are really approachable. The ones that want you to stand off to the back.
Sure.
Be quiet, just watch what's going on.
Yeah.
Read the room.
Yeah, kind of read the room.
Right.
And even though I'm a big guy, I try not to have that big presence
You
coming
don't.
in and out.
Yeah.
I kind of try to sneak in, sneak
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Don't say a whole lot.
Yeah.
Silent ninja.
Yeah.
It's a ballerina move.
It really is.
Totally.
I've seen him
Yeah.
we're shooting at Astra, and the way he could move in this tiny spaceship was like he was on a harness.
Yeah.
He's going through the holes, and I'm like, I can't even catch you right now.
Yeah, I feel in going into that, a good transition into that, then I want to talk about basically second assistant on sets or additionals that come in, because you're the head man a lot of times for a lot of those people. But when I was the second assistant on set, a lot of times I worked for a lot of assistant prop masters that it was almost what you were describing with the director, how you had to treat them in that, because they're the person dealing with first team.
Right.
So since they're the person dealing with first team, that having two people in there is a little bit like it's a no-no. So I worked with a lot of assistant prop masters that it's like the rule of thumb is let them do their thing, but be in their eye line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you need them, that they can pull you in an
Right.
instant, but don't be all up in their business because
Yeah.
they're the
Yep.
person in the. So is
That's
that
so important.
right?
You know?
That's kind of why I like to do most of my own resets if I can.
Right.
If we're doing a
Yes.
big food scene, then I'll delegate, because a lot of times, as I'm leaving the set, I want to know in my mind that everything is in the exact same spot that needs to be for this next thing. So kind of like you said, it's like, hey, if you're helping me, be where I can see you.
Right.
Make sure, like, if we're doing food, that we're set up for cleaning the plates, cleaning the glasses. Everything's set up for the reset. If we're doing guns, that we have a clear spot that we can do this, and everything's being done safely.
Right.
So it's like in the morning, it's like, hey, make sure eye protection, ear protection,
Yes.
and all
Totally.
that's pulled off the truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to
Scramble.
have to scramble
Totally.
for paper towels.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's all about prep.
Yeah, and it's tough for people that haven't done that a lot, because your first inclination is like, hey, let me help you. How can I help? And you're like, no.
Trust me, backing him up for 4 years was a learning curve, and just
100%.
being ready, trying to really figure out what Butch wanted before that.
Yeah, and
You know?
that's the most important thing
Yeah.
I think you need to go through to get to
Yeah.
the prop master stage,
Yeah.
especially too.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it really is about paying attention, and all along the way, you know, in prep and in shooting, everything. I mean, and the more that you're paying attention, the better off your life's going to be, because
Totally.
there's nothing worse than scrambling
Yeah.
for anything.
No.
Okay, and you're inevitably going to scramble anyway. So as much as you can get
Yeah,
done
yeah.
ahead of
No,
time
totally.
and anticipate, like you said, Butch, you have to anticipate what's going to happen, what's happening now, what's going to happen next. Okay, that's the other
And
thing
that's
too.
that's as simple as just reading the sides every day.
Yeah.
You know, like I know a lot of people who don't read the sides every day.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, that's really not good.
Right.
When you have a team that
Yeah.
just won't read
Well, that's
them,
like
it's
Paul Baker said when he was in the room. You know, the consummate day player. You know, he's like, I ask for sides whenever they let me have.
Yeah,
them. So I
exactly.
know what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah, sides and
Yes.
skins, sides and
Yeah.
skins, sides
Yeah,
and skins.
just so you know, just so you can help anticipate it.
Yeah.
Because really, you know, when you have 500 or 2,000 background, just anticipating those needs when Tim's calling us
Right.
for things that they actually need for the hero stuff, and
Right.
we're like, oh, we have to stop this 2,000 background
Yeah,
motion
exactly.
to go help them. you
Right,
know?
exactly. Well, again, as we always say, you know,
Yeah.
what's happening in that monitor, in that
Yeah.
box, that's the most important thing. Everything else
Exactly.
falls second
Yep.
place to that.
Yep, definitely.
You mentioned one big thing is like getting your everything on the carts in the morning for the whole day and everything you can possibly anticipate having. How many carts do you average on set, and how big is your footprint usually?
We have a big footprint. Yeah. I like a big footprint only because it depends, you know. If I can get a big footprint
Yeah.
enough to kind of really set it all out
Do you
there,
bring that whole ass coffee cart out?
it will soon. No, we do. We keep. I mean, but we can slight. Yeah, it all depends. You know,
It does
really
depend,
just
right?
depends.
Because like on F1, Robbie and I
Oh
talked
my
about it a lot.
God.
Like the way these guys had their carts and stuff, we're like, oh my god, you know, the helmet visors are just dangling off the end of this thing. But again, that's the way they had to roll because things move so fast. You know, it was just like, okay, now we're here, we're at this end of the racetrack, and then we got to fly down here, and so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
more than once, Robbie and I looked at each other like, I don't know about these cards.
No, well, they
You thinking it too?
would get mad at me because I would just bring the carts out because that's just I know we need workspace.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I hate putting stuff on the ground. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
how it
take your
is,
spot,
You know?
yeah.
So I'm just pushing the carts out, and Gary would be like, "Why are the carts out here?" Tim would be like, "Why are the carts here?" I'm like, "Guys, please,
Right.
please, let me just bring them out here." And then we'd organize them, and there'd be a place to put stuff, you know.
Right.
But
it was constantly
all of a
moving
sudden,
them.
hey, we're shooting over there now, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
shit.
and
okay, here you
this
go.
crazy train of carts.
Yeah.
I have some video of it. It was like nuts because there was like, well, there must have been like 12 cameras on that shoot.
Oh yeah, no,
it
there's
was
it's
fucking nuts.
nah.
So
Yeah, it's kind of like learning each project. It's like might have 2-3 camera carts if we have a lot of stuff out. The PTA show we just got done, he likes a very small footprint. So
Yeah.
Small.
it's like, hey,
PTA
get
does?
it
Yeah.
to the back of the truck, leave the taco cart, which I usually love to have out in case
Right.
something breaks. It's just on the back of the shorty. And everything stays out of sight, out of mind. The last thing you want is like direct to look over and go, what's all this?
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
To your point that you just said, I have to bring it back. Okay,
Yeah.
when you said I like to have a taco cart in case something breaks.
Right.
This is something that I've been dealing with since you left me, Butch. Of set masters who don't like to have a taco cart.
Really?
Nearby, and it's
Really?
like, you know, well, again, it's crazy, you know, because, and I'll say, well, what if you need a screw gun or something? They're like, oh, we just asked the grips. I'm like, no, what? No, man, we gotta have all our shit because, again, you know, if something does go
Yeah.
wrong, we need to be able to have it close by. I don't need you running to the truck
Yeah.
to get something.
My last show, we went through maybe 3 full boxes of that quick stuff like glue
Yeah.
sets.
Oh, yeah.
Went through so much. It was
I'm
constant.
telling you, man, everything. Yeah, that's your world is like right there.
Yeah.
in that cart.
So then I like because we've never really talked about an onset cart on this show. We've talked about a lot of stuff today. I'm glad you guys are here. What are must-haves on an onset or a taco cart? Like, what are the things you cannot live without on your cart?
The glue. A couple times the butyl or thin murder tape.
Oh yeah. Super red.
A little bit of cleaning stuff. I mean, at least
Sure.
got to have some Windex and some microfibers and stuff
Right.
like that for cleaning, and some decent tools. I mean, you don't have to have,
The watch kit.
Yeah,
you just
right. Yeah, for me, it's an X-Acto knife, man. If I had to have one thing,
that's in my pocket all the day.
That I know Butch has like 5 of them all over.
I still wear a chest protector when I'm on sets because
Yeah.
yeah,
I got back in to do that when we were doing Ad Astra because, like he said, we were going through in a spaceship. You had to
You have
swing,
to have everything on
swing
you.
through, so you couldn't have anything on your side. So I got back into
I
wearing
see.
that with the radio and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
yeah,
So
that's what Drew has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
it just
Yeah,
it became what I went back to because I got rid of it for a while because
Right.
they're hot, they're sweaty, but at
Sure.
the same time, it's like even for the small stuff, it's like, oh, I need a piece of Topstick here.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I need a razor knife.
Yep.
Yep.
Keep a couple zip ties on you. I mean, it's you know our job. It's like fix it now, not. And like I tell, one of the things I always tell my people I work on set with. If something breaks and you think it's going to take you 5 minutes to fix it, you tell them 5 or you tell them 10. But if you think it's going to take you 10 minutes to fix it and you tell them I'll be done in 5,
Yeah,
in 2 minutes they're going to be asking you when it's going to be done.
right.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
In 3 minutes they think you're holding them up. But if you tell them, if you're honest out front, it goes along with it, along
Sure.
with your ADs.
Yep.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
that relationship with the AD is so important,
Yeah.
right? I mean, because that's your
Yes.
lifeline, man. That's the guy who's going to,
Yeah.
or woman who's going to sink you or be your
Yeah.
ally, you know. And I think that's really important to make sure that you make that relationship really strong very early.
Yes.
Earn their trust
Yes.
as well, right?
They have to have your trust and respect. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's one of the advantages of being my size sometimes because it's funny.
I roll up with Butch on set, and they look at me and they're like, "Oh, who's that guy behind you?" I'm like,
Right?
"He's with me."
I've worked, especially in TV, I've worked with some directors that I've been told before I get to work with them that, oh, this is going to be difficult. This is going to be this.
Right,
And I get there and it's like, I find out, wait, they're not difficult. You just have to know what you're doing
Yes.
and do it. And the other thing is I've watched some that they don't push.
Yeah.
Right.
sometimes when
When
and
you're
I don't
too
know if it's
big.
the respect or size,
It's a
but
little of both, I'm sure.
but I mean, it is, if you're honest when you're on set with the actors and getting a great rep with your actors, it's
Right.
like, hey, become friendly, be polite, be respectful.
Right.
When you have the one prop that we've made that is delicate, you can walk up and say, hey, this is really delicate. Sorry, but this is the way we had to build it. They're not going to throw it down on the table when they're done with it.
Right.
They're going to, if they respect you, they'll also respect the props. And it's one thing I learned, like when you work with people that worked in theater first,
Yeah.
they're so used to taking care of every prop
Every
they have.
prop, right.
It's a whole different approach
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. And that's
Speaking
just
on
like-
to ADs too, I want to give a shout out to Adam Somner. He just passed away this
Yeah.
last year, and we just worked with him on the PTA movie, and he is an absolute legend. You guys look him up after this.
Yeah.
He, to an AD who cares about that kind of thing. Like when we were
Yeah.
doing the one prop, and he was like, "It's Robbie on set," but there was this
Right.
care and this love that I
Yeah.
like. I've never worked with anyone as he's the best AD. Honestly.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
they can make or break you for
Yeah.
sure.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
that's
the show.
it's definitely an IMDb you want to look up because
He's
I
done
mean I've been doing
every-
this, like I said, since '86. When I looked at his resume, I went, "Wow."
Yeah, Spielberg wrote this beautiful piece for him when he passed away,
Wow.
just about what he meant to the film industry. And I just wanted to reiterate that he is that AD.
Yeah.
He's the
And
guy that respects the department.
For the young ADs who maybe listen to this, that's how they should be. It's
100%.
Yeah.
communicating. It's
I've
you
had
know?
good. I've had ads. I think the good ones, like and it's going to be a good AD. I've had him come up to me like right in the beginning of prep and just say, "Hey, anytime you need time on anything, just let me know ahead of time, and I'm going to make sure that you have it going
Well,
through."
that's
And-
rare and beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Seriously.
rare.
Yeah,
I think that's
but
their
that's
opening. I think they do that with every department as they're coming into
Right.
to stop to make that like I'm approachable. Like I get it. Like some things take time.
Well,
Just
those
let
are
me
the
know
guys
ahead
that
of
get
time.
it. Yeah. Because again, there's nothing worse than the unprepared AD because they
Yeah.
always try to make it seem like it's your fault.
Totally.
Okay, you know,
Totally.
or the AD's like screaming for props and you're standing behind them.
Me and Butch are like,
Well,
they're like,
that-
nah.
Yeah,
That's stay near camera. Don't. I think I said I don't want to hear somebody yelling, "Where's props?"
right.
Yes.
That's the worst.
Butch doesn't necessarily like to have our own channel either because
I don't either.
he
I
don't
doesn't like.
either.
I
No, I'm on
like to
one.
communicate to everyone,
Right,
So I like it. When I'm like, hey, we need this. Hey, I'm getting the ear of this.
right.
We switched
know?
to 4 a lot, but it's
But yeah,
Yeah,
no.
dude, let's talk about that for a minute because I don't remember what were those fucking
Dude,
those
the
communication
headsets,
devices
the
that those
heads-
guys had an F1.
Remember, I was
heard
telling
about
Butch
this.
about that too.
I was jazzed.
Okay.
What are
They
they called
were
again?
running Boleros.
Boleros,
And they're running this system. It's like the camera department, but prop team whole.
it's got everything on it. It's got the
Yeah.
It's
feed
like-
from the
is
sound
it like what they
mixer on it?
use on like the pits and
Yes.
stuff
Yes,
like that?
it
like
is.
in actual
And so they get
Yeah.
all these channels rolling into the same, and then you could fine tune it so you could only hear certain volumes for things that are more important. But then there's also the feed to the camera,
Yep.
or from the sound mixer, so you're hearing all the,
The
dialogue and
actors.
everything that's happening. It's
There's a feed from the directors, from
Yeah.
Claudio, the DP.
Yeah.
Like you really could. It was a communication level that was like way above anything
Yeah.
that I think we've ever experienced.
yeah, it was nuts.
It was legit.
yeah. It
I
was-
really, really liked it.
yeah.
Yeah.
One of the other things about being on set is like if you stay close, you
Thank
get
you.
information that all of a sudden you see the AD talking to the second AD,
Yep.
or the director is saying, "Oh, well, maybe we'll switch this up." And you're like, "Is this information I need to
Yes.
Yep.
know?" Like,
'Cause
you're
they don't think about it.
You're talking about moving scene 22, which is a food scene,
yeah.
to the
Right.
second up today. That's a big deal.
Yes, and they're not necessarily thinking
And-
about you
no,
at
they're
that
not.
moment in time, and nor should they be really. But and sometimes by the time you get that information, there's so much time that goes by that you could have been already on top of it. And so
Yes.
again, that is like the most important thing for me as a prop master, for my set master, is that they're there, they're at the camera, they're listening to everything that's happening, because preemptive is everything in what we do.
Totally.
Okay, and if you're part of it, you can also offer solutions to things as they're coming up. I mean, and there's nothing better, like, or if they're having a conversation with the actor and they think of something, you're already on the radio calling your team, get this, I'm going to need this. And then when they ask for it, you're holding it.
You're literally
and they're
ready
like,
with it.
They think you're a magician.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're not thinking of something you don't have.
Right.
If you have options on the cart, then when they start going, hey, you got something else, and you do have 2 or 3 things, they're not thinking what they could possibly use that's not on your truck.
Right.
It's not on your cart.
Yeah.
It is a trip to Walmart or somewhere.
Right. No, 100%.
KK Barrett, the production designer, taught me, don't just put out an item in those situations that you don't like, because the designer could choose that.
Right.
He's like, have just 5 really, really good options.
Sure.
Because, sometimes we'll put in the bad options just to maybe think
I always put in a bad
No,
option.
but think about that, Mikey. What if they pick it?
Seriously.
Seriously. And KK goes, what's that? And I was like, oh, that's just like the bad option. He goes, no, what if he picks it? And I'm like, you're kind of right there, and it's like,
It's beautiful. It's so abstract.
No, I guess, I mean, what could be bad for you might be interesting to somebody else.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Exactly. So, you
that.
gotta.
I'm still on the edge of, at least they pick something.
yeah, right.
Well, I mean, even the approach of where, like, hey, we want to get a briefcase for this actor all of a sudden. It's like, grab me 5 or 6 off the truck. We always
Yes.
have different styles.
Totally.
If you walk in with that, they almost feel they have to pick something because you put out the effort already. If you walk in with 1 or 2, they're looking at, you got anything else?
Yeah.
So,
100%.
I mean-
overwhelm them.
It's true.
But
No,
not too
But
much.
not with a
Yeah.
bad option.
Yeah,
No,
right.
man.
But not with the bad.
Yeah. So it's just, and it's like you said, feel the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what your actors like. You can read the script and see what they're written for an actor and go, they're never going to do that.
Right.
Yes.
No, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Do you have okay, so what does your set cart, your taco cart look like? Is it one of the older school ones with the big like the big tires in the front, or do you have like a set stuff cart, or what is
We have
it?
Jeffries right now on the
Yeah,
thing.
right
and
now we're running Jeffries. We have a set stuff cart.
I had
Yep.
A
I had
newer
the old
style.
style.
I
I
have
still
the old
have
style
the old-
too. I still have the one you use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like the older one, just
Yeah, like mine.
just like yours, exactly. When I saw that, I was like,
fucking
oh
beast.
yeah, those
My
things.
crew hates that thing.
I mean, they work well. They really do work well.
Yeah,
I
They
like
do.
it.
I
Like
came
the
up using
OG
one.
carts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah.
totally.
You
I
have
have
a lot of room.
Yeah, there was a lot of room, and I came up with them once. I've had the set stuff cart was like my first. I feel like the first major purchase that I did when I like my first cart, my first thing. So it's like been ingrained since then.
Yeah.
Even like living and learning. I mean, like Robbie's kit. We got one cart that happened to be a little skinnier, and I realized that because on the features you work out of a shorty so much. It's like we built another one because these 2 carts fit side by side.
Yeah,
With
Right.
when we put shelving on
Great
the wall.
point.
So
Yeah.
it's like learning what you can travel with. I mean, it's a blessing now that for the most part we don't have wood chairs anymore.
oh my god,
I do aluminum.
everybody.
Unless it was like a QT thing, I'm
Right.
sure like he wants
Oh,
wooden,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
I
unless it's that kind of
does-
sitch where you're like, all
You
right,
have to.
QT wants wooden.
Oh hell yes.
classic.
You can send you packing if you show up with a freaking
I'll,
camp
I'll
chair.
freaking. I mean, with the bigger ones, I'll rent at that point. Like, it was like I don't. I when I was first starting to like prop master bigger shows, I would ask like, what kind of chairs do you want? And I kept a set of each. I don't ask that anymore. I just show up with aluminum. If they want to pivot, I'll
Yes.
pivot. But
Well, here, I mean, I have so many freaking chairs. It's insane. It's so stupid. I just need to get rid of them all. But I'm saving them because when I retire, I'm going to have a party, and I'm going to have all my assistants for my whole career come and throw
Like
a
Office
chair in the
Depot
fire.
style.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah, I
have
mean,
a big
Office Space.
bonfire, and we're going
In
to
that
burn
case,
it down.
you should have saved that chair cart you had.
Oh, the
That was
Widowmaker.
Butch's.
Widowmaker.
the Widowmaker. How bad was the chair cart that you had to call it that?
How many stubbed toes,
It-
broken
it-
ankles?
It didn't fit on the lift gate.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
no.
literally have to roll it out
Halfway
over the edge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and then come down.
Yeah, and my lift gate didn't tip. It tilt. I mean, I have the worst lift gate in all of Hollywood. Until Doug Fox retired. Yeah. But no, so the chairs, I keep some wooden chairs for EPK.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, so
and
like
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they do look good.
Yeah.
And that
yeah.
makes sense.
I got about 10 in the belly, and I give it. So I ran into Scott Buckwald the other day, and he's walking through. He's like, "You know anybody that wants to buy wooden chairs?" I was like, "No,
Can't give them away.
no hesitation on that."
Give them the ISS.
I mean,
You can rent them.
the crazy thing that we deal with all the time is like, what is the village? And when we go from the PTA show where it's like, oh, we're going to put chairs. You don't need any chairs. He doesn't want to ever see a chair. And I'm like, well, let's keep 2 or 3 on the truck. Kid, we're out in the desert. We're out in the heat in case somebody needs to sit down.
Right.
And then we did a show before that where he get a phone call. Oh, by the way, there are going to be 17 visitors.
Yeah.
tomorrow."
Yes.
I think we had 60 chairs out at once.
6-0?
60.
Wow.
It was the most insane thing we had ever.
That's morning.
They put
Yeah.
it.
How many?
I didn't
that's
have
like
any-
5 chair cards.
Oh yeah, no, we just kept bringing them in. I just kept having them shipped in from ISS.
Oh my god!
It was
Yeah, we have a lot of chairs on F1 too.
yes.
And then there's always the specialty chair, right?
Yeah.
Like
Joe's. That's Joe's. Like
Yeah.
the sick director chair that
Right.
does
Yeah,
the whole
or
thing.
those Hollywood chairs, those bastards.
The Ed Zwick chair. That's the Ed
Yeah.
Zwick one.
Yeah.
The Hollywood chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been on shows where they all want them. It's like, I need another guy.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Just running those is its own thing.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi likes a whole ass love seat
Does
with
he?
with an end table and a lava lamp.
Oh, that's a whole vibe.
Yes,
always.
yeah.
You know what? I'll give
love
Taika
that.
Waititi anything he wants.
At that point, I mean, it bounced to production pretty quick.
Yeah.
At that point.
Well, and there's always that, So it's like the age-old story about dealing with chairs, okay? There are a lot of people who, wish we never had them and don't want them. I don't mind doing chairs, but becomes a very low priority for me on set.
yeah.
Once the chairs hit the set, if you want them moved, if I have time, we'll move them, but if not, call PAs in. I don't have a problem with that, because they're not going to give me an extra person.
Yeah.
What do you
I
think
still
about
like
that, Butchie?
Butch will snap a PA's wrist.
If he
because
touches
I've
a
had
chair-
bad experience. I like moving
Sure.
our chairs.
Yeah.
And even if it takes away from something else, because I've had people move them over and they're like, I can't find my sunglasses now.
Right.
And you're answering those questions, and it's like the same way at the end of the night, I'm like, check the bags,
Yes.
clean out the junk. And they're, well, that's not our job. I'm like, yes, it is. We're the highest paid babysitters you ever want to meet.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then-
yeah.
And I've been on shows where I'm on my way home and I get a phone call from a PA saying the producer left his car keys in his script pouch and we have to go back, unload the whole truck, and get to the car to get his keys.
Or sunglasses.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's 8:00 at night.
Yeah.
We're back here at 6:30 tomorrow morning. Not going to
I
be.
I drop at the end of the night. I literally just drop everything on the floor right where the chair was and
Yeah, for
fold it
sure.
up, and that's it.
You
If
drop
work-
it on the
if,
floor.
If you work for me, you have to
the
find a
backpack.
trash can.
Oh well, no, I don't mean not the trash. The trash, I'll find
Yeah.
the trash.
Mikey, we
I'm
can't put Uncle Jerry's stuff on the floor.
Yeah,
okay?
no, I don't think
Okay,
that-
I have
Jerry's
not
stuff.
worked for Uncle Jerry.
I don't think I
before.
should put anybody's shit on the floor. You got to give it to a PA or something.
It was like a backpack. I'm gonna put on the corner
Yes.
by the
Yes.
stuff was. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
like
yeah, it's always scripties.
It's
last to leave,
scripty.
script's always
Sometimes.
the last to leave.
I was sending Chris and them photos when the scripty was just sitting there doing her reports, and they're like, "Hey, go get all the chairs," and I'm just standing there beautiful sunset,
All
the
the
lights,
time.
and I'm just like, "This
Every
lady's
show.
really just doing her homework right now."
Yeah,
All right.
it's every single show. I think.
Or the writers on the
You
other
don't-
movie. They're like, they're
Exactly.
having a nighttime meeting, and you're like, just waiting.
I'm on the clock.
They pay us hourly, so
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We'll take
exactly. Whatever you need.
I'm happy to be here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I do want to ask about M. Night Shyamalan a little bit.
Yeah.
So we kind of glossed over
Yeah.
it pretty fast. You had mentioned that he's one of the bigger directors. I don't think we've talked about too much on this one. And you said that he leaves a lot of space for you to be able to be creative.
Yeah.
Right. So is it like the kind of thing where when you're asking like his thought on something, he's just like, okay, go by the page and bring me some concepts of whatever you think it is, and then you discuss it then, or does it go deeper than that?
For Knock at the Cabin specifically,
Yeah.
like that
Great
was
movie, by the way.
That was thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. That was a fun process for us to get to kind of make these weapons where he in the script it's written as like farm tools that they built and made into these weapons, and when you read that, you just think like, okay, it's a farm tool, and there's a lot of menacing looking farm tools once you get into looking at old, like really old stuff for like doing all kinds of like farm work and all kinds of just rad rusted looking things. You started to realize you could really put some stuff together, and Knight was like, Robbie, it's a bake off. He's like, just make a lot of cool stuff, and then we'll kind of dwindle it down, and maybe we'll take a piece from one and put it on another, and that was kind of how we came up with the weapons. I think me and Stu made 14 to start.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went to 8 and then down to 4.
So you basically started with like a bunch of different things, and you pulled the coolest elements out of all of them.
I went to so many antique shops, and I spent tons of money buying a lot of really cool stuff. A lot of really cool.
And I guess with somebody like him, budget's not really an issue.
I mean, budget is not an issue in the sense that he cares about the creative.
Sure.
And that, for his movies in those kind of sense, that stuff matters.
Yeah, exactly. And it does. That's the thing.
Like he is the kind of guy that will give you that financial freedom.
Right.
I mean, he's the one paying for it.
Yeah.
So it's like he gets that creative freedom to tell us no or yes.
Yeah, and it's also something I feel like budget-wise, it's like with a movie like that, it's like those are some of the most hero props in the entire film. So it's like,
I mean, we had to create these props knowing they were going to be with these characters for the entire movie.
Right.
And it's not just a watch or a pair of glasses that they're going to have to kill some people and do action stunts and stuff like that. So, when I start showing the producers the builds we wanted to do for the weapons, as far as the mediums and the super softs and all that kind of stuff, I think it really, they started to figure out kind of what the movie was through, all right, cool, we are going to do some sweet stunts.
Right.
And it's not just going to be, we're going to make it up and it's going to be Hollywood magic. We had stunt rehearsals and all this crazy stuff with Dave Bautista, who's done so many things like this. So it was a really fun creative experience with him, to where he really gives you that opportunity to create and thrive. Really.
Yeah. And is he a person like you can hit up anytime you okay.
Yeah, definitely. Knight's office is always open.
Yeah.
If he's there, he'll always come talk to you about things. He's a big film guy, which I love films as well as all the old school ones. So I love talking to him about just things that I may have thought could mean this in the show. And he would look at me like, it doesn't mean that, but I like the way you're thinking.
Sure.
So, he's also a big time sports guy. So he's
cool.
just like fun to talk to about
Right.
all that. Knight's your dude, which is
It's Big Eagles fan, no doubt.
He's a big 76ers fan.
Okay.
He has
down with the
courtside
Sixers.
seat. He's courtside.
Nice.
Yeah, he's like the Eagles. I'm sure he's probably there because they're killing it.
I feel like it's always easier with the director when you can, like, at least on your way out, or just like with the, hey, quick question about this. Oh, all right. That was like
no, I think he was definitely always up for talking about all things creative. I think with the job that we just wrapped up, the PTA movie, that was a different bit of an experience because Matty Cavallero did the first half.
I see.
Yeah.
They took a little bit of a break. And then I came in to do the second half. And through that process, we only got 2.5 weeks of prep.
Wow.
On a movie that's got A-listers, and PTA, who also loves props as well. So getting this opportunity, to what I'm getting at, is that he allowed me to really get to him like that. Like day one, he told me, come to me with anything.
Right.
PTA did?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
He said he's like, I know you didn't get a big prep like everyone else, and you don't know the script like everyone else.
Yeah, you didn't do half the movie, so you're not
anything. He's like, just come to me. And so I had like this really direct line to him to just get the correct props without having that back and forth of the middleman of the designer sometimes, even though our designer on that is
Flo, right?
phenomenal.
Yeah.
They have this beautiful relationship. So having her as your ally even is phenomenal.
Right.
So it's this really, really collaborative process. And I think I've been lucky enough to really, I build this communicative thing with the directors that I really like.
Yeah.
You know, I want them to know that the line is open, and
So
I want
that's-
them to come talk to us.
It sounds like you've been lucky with a lot of the big directors to where most of them, they've been able to contact. They haven't been like, you get one show and tell, and you're one meeting with the director, then you can never say another word to them again.
I would
it's like,
say that only because of the situation with him was Ridley Scott. Was just like, you know, I would say that was probably only because of his health.
Sure.
So they had him kind of isolated.
Right.
But he comes into the show and tell, and it was the most amazing experience.
Nice.
You know,
I'll
getting
bet.
to do a show and tell with Ridley Scott, it was. But that was like my one moment with him.
Sure.
I didn't like. But then after that, you go to the production designer for all your answers. You
And
know,
we hear that all the time with giant directors, Coppola and Spielberg. And,
you just lean into the designer.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how you have to be. Like, if they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't beat yourself up over it. You can't make them want to listen if they don't want to talk about it.
Right.
no,
you know?
totally. I know, but it's like, do you say QT's like that a little bit too, or?
No, QT. I mean, I was able to access. I mean, you have to find your time.
You have to find your.
You have to find your space. I mean, because again, he liked to think about things in compartmentalized ways. So it's like if you want to talk to him about one thing and he doesn't, his head isn't in that space, then you're not going to have that conversation.
Yeah, copy that.
But at the same time, you have to try to make sure that you do have that conversation, because on the day, if it's not what he wants, he doesn't just accept anything.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's where it stresses me out. I
Yeah.
feel like thinking about working with like a lot of the ones that's like you get your one meeting, because it's just like, man, there's no like
Room for
everything
error.
has to be polished. Like
Right.
I feel like you need
Sure.
you need to spend twice as much, because it's like, okay, here's what I think is the absolute polish, but let's just go a little bit different for
Right.
them. I want to make multiple versions. Of
Totally.
Well, sure. And again, the best advice I got about QT is that whatever you show him, make sure you keep it.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
because if he picks something, he might ask him, "Oh, right, I saw that other thing before. That's the thing I want now."
Yeah.
So you
So
just,
he could say he didn't want it, and then
dude,
just ask
he changed
for it later.
props on me where we shot something already, and then I pulled it out again like 3 weeks later, and he was like, "What's that?" I'm like, "That's the jar
That
that
we
he
have already
drinks out of." And he's like, "I don't like that jar." I'm like, "We shot it." And he goes, "I don't care. I want something else." I'm like, "Oh, okay,
All right.
yeah, let's do that."
Yeah.
Okay.
On the fly filmmaking.
Yeah. Fly filming. Yeah, so keep all your stuff if you can.
Okay. Well, that's like when I hear the stories from James Eddy about Fincher.
Right.
yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, I
that
know.
stuff. 100 resets.
Oh
You're
my
just like,
God.
wow, man.
Exactly.
You know, and it's-
Multiples.
yeah.
Wow.
It's insane.
We could go on and on. I could
I know,
talk to
we
you
could-
guys all freaking night, but I guess we have a time frame.
Yeah.
So I guess, does anybody have anything else they want to say? I do want to say, and I'm glad you mentioned it, Mike, because I was so excited to see you guys when I came in. You know, like I said, I thought we were doing a different podcast. And I see Butchie and Robbie, and I'm like, got all excited, but I forgot to say, we just went through a horrible week of fires in Los Angeles, which everybody knows about. And my heart goes out to everybody. We know several people who've lost their homes, and it's just devastating.
Yeah,
especially after years of loss of work and everything else. This is just like a slap in the face to a lot of people. So just reach out to each other. Try to take care of everybody.
There's a lot of help going on.
Yeah.
Definitely reach out.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
But hopefully we're on the tail end and we're rebuilding again. Hopefully we'll get some work coming back and everybody will be up on the rise.
That's right.
Yes.
We made it to 2025.
I know, that's right.
It's
like we survived to
Yes.
25 barely. Here we are. So
We got it. We got it.
yeah.
Definitely. Butch and Robbie, thank you guys for
thank you.
coming
Thank you.
in.
Thank you guys for having us here.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it was almost better that it was kind of off the cuff, because I feel like we just got into the weeds of talking mostly shop. So and those are my favorite episodes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
love it.
like that's why I wanted to do it with him, so
Yeah.
we can kind of get into it,
Well,
and it's
I mean, he came on with KP and I in Jack Reacher, the second one, and to watch his progression to where he's gotten now is
Meteoric.
It's great. And the fact
Amazing.
that the business has changed, where it was an old man's game
Right.
for a long time. And to see younger ideas getting the respect, getting the jobs,
Yep.
and his personality has saved us on so many projects just because he is approachable and will work in what you want to work with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you get set in your ways, and myself included, that you're like, no.
I remember
Right.
a producer called me to come to set because Curtis Aiken pissed off Ridley Scott. And he's like, can you just come and just please give your Robbie energy out here?
Yeah.
You know?
And it's Robbie energy.
No, I
it's
agree.
truly-
Again, we never hadn't met before Vegas, and after Vegas, I said to my wife, "If this is the new face of Property Masters, we're okay."
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you, man.
And everything you're doing here right now, because
Yeah, the guild in
It's-
general.
everybody's helping each other. Where
Yeah.
when I started out, it was,
Cutthroat, baby.
yeah.
I was just gonna say that too.
I mean,
Yeah. Times are
you
changing.
were putting your names in resumes, but if somebody had a job that they weren't going to take, they wouldn't tell you about it.
Right.
No. I think, and that's, I mean, in this, people say that on this podcast all the time that bring in, is just like, we've brought the community of prop masters together. And I think that's, it's like, I'm glad I met you super early because you and I got like 25 more years left in this
heck
or
yeah.
more. It's like, so
Yeah,
we're going to
definitely.
ride up together.
Definitely.
But it's like, if it used to be whatever, a prop master couldn't do a job and they take it and they'd move on to the next person. But now it's like, that reply isn't that anymore. Whenever I get that, my reply is, I can't take it, but I know a
Right.
bunch of just, if not better than me, that can.
Right.
And they're all the people aligned. Like, I want to keep my friends and prop masters working.
It's even helped with producers and ADs and UPMs and that, where when I first started, if you went in and put your resume on a feature, they're like, oh, you do TV.
It's true.
And some of that's changed just because of the fact that when you're doing these 21-day pilots, they got what we considered featured DPs and featured directors coming in and do Ridley Scott's doing a pilot for an Apple series. That part has changed where you can jump back and forth and
Right.
you're getting a little more, because when I first,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
like, well, you think you could do this feature? And I'm like, so you're going to give me 10 weeks of prep,
Yeah, exactly.
10 times the money I'm used to dealing with. And I said, I'm doing a show in 7 days, and I get the next script and have to get that one done.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, I'm pretty sure I can do this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. This was awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yeah. Let's we'll close out, I guess. Before we go, I just want to say, like I said, the last few episodes, if you watch something and you like the props, reach out to the prop master and give them credit for it. Like, give credit where it's due, and it's even better coming from our peers. So, thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of Prop Talk, the official podcast of the Property Masters Guild, brought to you by real working and retired prop masters. If this is your first time listening, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment wherever you're hearing this. If you'd like to know more information on the Property Masters Guild or have any questions for us here at Prop Talk, if you want to see a specific person on, message us. We'll do, or you like a certain show and interested in the props and hearing more about it, message us. We will do our best to get them on. You can message us at propertymastersguild.org or info@propertymastersguild.org. We're also on Instagram @_ the PMG, and just search Property Masters Guild on all other socials.
Wait, one last thing.
Yeah, go.
Let's plug prop culture.
Oh yeah, we got a magazine out now.
Yeah,
I forgot
baby.
that.
I saw that. Yes.
Yeah, we have an official magazine, and I mean, I think I'm going to butcher the website. It might be, if you Google prop culture, it should come up. Or it's propculture.com or something like that. Or if you just go to propertymasterguild.org because there's a direct link there.
Yeah, and there's going to be physical copies out.
Yes, there'll be
available.
physical copies out too. So if you want to go up there, you can actually subscribe and be able to get the physical copies. Or subscribe, right? Is that on a monthly basis?
Subscribe,
Yeah. You can get the copies on a quarterly basis. That's when
Right.
they're going to come out. So it's all about.
But the
props
first one
people.
is dropped. So
The first one's
it's out
dropped. It's out. So
Nice.
yeah, check that out. Yeah, that's it. Until next time.
See ya.
Thank you.